All right. Pam, thank you so much. Can you hear me now? If you don't mind, let me know. I've got it on. I've got, hopefully I've got everything on. I don't think I'm I don't think I pushed any buttons to mute me. So I think I should be good. Actually, oh, I left my phone in the other room. Okay, well, that's not going to work. Okay, good. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. See, whenever I try something new, which I know I shouldn't do it, this is what happens. So anyways, real quickly, sorry, everyone. For those that are just joining, I was just talking about we have 3 days left for our join as a demonstrator special. So you have two options: spend $35, choose $125 in product, or you can choose $99 in product and I'm sorry, $99, spend $99 and choose $189. I recommend you go with the $35 offer. You get to choose $125 in product. You can't go over the $125 mark. You will have until March of next year where you will continue to receive a discount of 20 to 25% on your purchases. And I would recommend that after you get your initial order received from as a demonstrator, then I would place another order and then you would get your 20% discount. And it does have to be right away. You'll also receive 10% in rewards dollars that you would be able to spend on your future products. So that's going to be a 30% discount. So throwing that out there, you have until Friday the 31st. And if you have any questions or anything, let me know if you're not working with a demonstrator. And there is a link in the video, below the video, that says join my team. If that's something you're interested in, or if you need questions or have questions or whatever, just reach out to me. So, all right, with that being said, now everybody's going to listen to that the next 3 times. I'm going to go ahead and flip the camera down and we're going to get started. We're going to do 2 holiday cards. And let me flip the camera and then I'll tell you what we're doing. I'm in the process of doing a craft fair, which I haven't done since I lived in the Villages, which was 3 years ago. And they have a holiday bazaar here where we live. And I didn't do it the first 2 years we moved here and everybody's asking me why. So I'm doing it this year. So I am loading up on Christmas or holiday cards. So I'm working on those. So I figured since I was making them, we might as well make some this evening. So we're going to work with the Peace on Earth, and I'm using this one for the sentiments. And then we're going to work with A Child is Born. So I went online and found quite a few designs that I liked. And so that's what we're going to do. So I'm not sure how long the video will probably end up ending at 8 o'clock, only because I just spent about 10 minutes. I don't think it's going to take that long. All right, so A Child is Born is a photopolymer. And you know what? I should have brought my other stamps in here. A Child is Born, this is 11 photopolymer stamps. And it's a really nice stamp set. If you go on Pinterest, you can find all sorts of different ideas. So I would encourage you all to do that. And the Peace on Earth, I've done quite a few cards with this one, but I really love all of the different sentiments this one has as well. So let's put those off to the side. And this is the first card that we're going to start with. We're going to go ahead and work. Whoops, let me get down here. We're going to go ahead and work with, and I'm going to bring it up a little bit. We are using the Secret C card base. That's 5 1/8. 5.5 by 8.5 when we scored it at 4 1/4. And we're going to do it in the landscape mode. And I'll give you the measurements in just a moment of the white. And let's see. I might have to measure those out because I don't think I wrote them down. I did not. Okay. So this piece here is 2.5 inches by 4. And that's the white. Now what I did is I used the Secret C, which is kind of a dark ink, right? It can almost look like it's black. And I stamped off before I stamped on here to give it that lighter effect. So it kind of gives it more of that cloud cover ink. So, so we did that. And then I put a piece of the silver paper that we have. We're using some white ink, the pigment ink on here for the stars. And then on the inside, I just carried over a piece of that silver paper, right? I did it like 1/4 inch right there. So very easy card. This we're going to stamp and we're going to fussy cut it out. So pretty simple card actually. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. And we're going to use the same sentiment, the same sets, but we're going to do two different types of cards. So I think it'd be something that hopefully you will find quite interesting. Let me put this right here. I've got the camera set up. Let me see if I can back it up just a little bit. Give me 1 minute so I can get a little bit more in here. Here we go. Put that right about there so I don't use up the entire space. Okay, so we're going to get started. And this is my card base. And so I've already got it scored and cut because I feel like I don't need to waste all that time. Y'all know how to score. Let me flip it this way. Sometimes if they don't even up when you fold them, then you just gonna have to, sometimes you just have to maneuver it. Just be a little forceful. Not too bad, but sometimes you just got to get it in place and then give it a good crease. And I will do that once I get my bone folder out here. All right, so there's that. We're going to put that right there. Now, this piece is going to go on the inside. So why don't we, and I'm not stamping anything on the inside, so let's go ahead and let's add this. We'll get this piece of paper out of the way, and that way it's won't be in our way. We'll just move it to the inside of the card. Bear with me 1 second. Get some glue going here. Hold on. I know it works because I've already checked it. Hang on. Now it's going to make a liar out of me. Hold up. Sometimes you just have to baby this stuff, right? All right, so I'm just going to put a little strip on here. I'm not going to go right to the edge because I'm going to cut this off. This is too long, but sometimes it's easier just to, let me get my glue going, just to get the glue on there and then just cut off what you don't need, right? That way you know it's going to fit. And I guess because I've sat here, I opened this thing up a little while ago. We'll get the glue going. It's just going to take a minute. Okay. All right, so let's go. Whoopsie. Whoop. I'm throwing my glue around. Hang on. Hang on a second. Ugh. It's probably mad at me for beating them on the table. All right, we'll go ahead and add this on. And we'll just put this, I'm going to put it right on the edge, and then I'll just trim off what excess we have on here. So let's go ahead and do that. This just dresses it up. So let's go ahead and we'll cut that off. I'll just snip that off. There we go. Let's go ahead and add that. That way that will help me get my glue going. So now I can really squeeze it and get it to come out. It's funny how it just sits, and I don't know if it's because of the weather we have here in Florida or what it is, but I always struggle with the glue and it not wanting to come out of my container. So I think what I'm going to do, because I had a feeling this might happen, we're going to open up another one. I have this one open because I used this when we were traveling. There we go. See, we got glue. All right, probably a little bit more than what we need. Okay, so let's go ahead and add this to the inside. That way we'll have that part done. And I don't stamp in the inside of my cards. I usually wait until I get ready to send it off. And that way I know who I'm sending it to. And then I can write my personal message or stamp another type of sentiment. Okay, so we've got that done. All right, so let's close that up, move that over there for just a moment. Now we're going to take a piece of, we're just going to take a scrap, and we are going to stamp the image of the child is born, and I'm using Secret C, and I'm going to stamp that full strength. And whenever you see one of my papers that has an S on it, that is for my information. You make that for scrap. All right, so we're going to go ahead and ink this up, and because it's a larger stamp, it's always better if you flip your ink pad over and then just pop it on there like that. It just makes it a little bit easier to get the ink on there and get it dispersed. All right, and so I'm going to stamp that on here, and I'm going to push down on it and let it sit for just a few seconds so it can make sure we get all of coverage. And then I'm going to fussy cut this, and it's really not that hard because this one there's really not a whole lot when it comes to the fussy cutting part. Okay, so we got that on there. All right. Hey, Karen, how are you? We're just getting started. Of course, I tried to do something new, and you know what happens there. All right. So this one, we're going to go ahead and fussy cut. So let me do that. And I try not to do, I'm going to trim off some of this first so that we can, okay. It's just easier so I don't have quite as much to come around to. But anyways, so this is a really, it's a really easy set to use actually. And when it comes to fussy cutting, it's not that hard because there's not a whole lot of, yeah, I mean, you are doing a little bit of the twisting and turning, but not as much as you would on some of the things. So I just thought that this would be, we're just going to cut that off, and then I'm going to cut that off too. Just because I like to, and then I'll come back and curl this over. It's just, sometimes it's easier, but I thought this was real cute. I cased this off of Pinterest. And don't ask me who did it because I didn't see their name, and nor did they have a site to go to. They just posted the picture. So I thought, well, that's fine. But if you had questions, you know, about how they did something, you wouldn't be able to ask them because they didn't leave their information. But that's all right. So anyway, so we got back from Virginia, and it was cold as blazes up where we were. Well, you know, cold because I'm in Florida, right? My husband went, we were in Williamsburg the first 5 days. And we stayed with my husband's brother and his wife. They went and played golf 3 days, and it was like 44 degrees when they went out one morning. I thought they had lost their minds. I stayed in the house. I didn't go out unless I had to. But we had a nice time. I froze to death. They kept their house temperature at night like at 66. And my feet were so cold in the bed, I couldn't take it. And they have a room over their garage, and we would go up there in the morning to drink our coffee because we didn't want to interfere with their morning routines of things that they do. And so we were sitting up there, and then one day Cindy came up, sister-in-law, and said, you know, this has a heater up here. And I went, oh, I did not know that. So I said, do you mind? I said, do you mind if I sleep in here tonight? And she looked at me like I was crazy. I said, because it's so cold and my feet are cold and I cannot get warm. And my husband didn't care. So I said, all I need is a sheet. And I didn't know that the couch opened up to a bed. I didn't want the bed. I just want to sleep on the couch. I put the big old sheet on there, used the sheet on the couch, and then I covered myself up with the other half of it. And it was and I set it at 72. It was so nice and comfy in there. It was the best night's sleep I've had since we left to go out of town. And then we went to Richmond to visit his son and wife and the grandbaby that's a year and a half old. So we hooked up with them. And then we took dinner over there Saturday night. Yeah, Saturday night. And then Sunday, she's a year and 5 months, and she's already had 20 swimming lessons. And so she was having swim lessons on Sunday. So Chuck went and watched. I didn't go. And he just said he couldn't believe it. It was just amazing what they do. But anyway, so we had a nice time. And then we took 2 days and went to Virginia Beach to hang out with some of my friends, had dinner with them and all that fun stuff. So, and then we're back. And now I'm playing catch up and trying to get ready for this craft fair November 13th and 14th. So, okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this down first after I stamp it, and then I'm going to put my my image on here, which I've got a pretty good idea. I'm going to have to cut a little bit of this. Oh, let me get back in the camera. Sorry. I'll have to cut a little bit of this off, but for right now, I'm going to go ahead and stamp. I'm going to stamp my sentiment, and I'm pulling that from the, hang on a second. Let me get my glue off my fingers on my paper that I'm going to use to stamp off on. I'm using the Piece on Earth. So let me grab that. And this is a pretty good size wording. Now I'm going to stamp off because I don't want it to be so dark. And that's going to kind of give us that cloud cover look. So I'm just going to lightly stamp here. I'm not going to do not push a lot. And then I'm going to stamp right about here and push that down. And see how it comes out, how it looks kind of like the cloud cover. It's a little bit lighter. So we've got that. And then I'm going to come in with the lamb, and we're going to stamp that. I'm going to do the same thing with this guy. I'm going to ink him up, And I'm just going to lightly press him here, and then I'm going to put him down at the bottom. So we're just going to put him somewhere down in this area just to let him hang out. Okay. All right. So that's that. And let me move this over here. Hey, got to close up my ink because you know how that goes, right? We'll put that over here too because I don't think we need that anymore. I'm so used to having my other studio, and this is not a lot of room here, and it drives me crazy, but it is what it is. Okay. So here we go. We're going to put this on this side. So it's going to go on the right side. And again, this is 2.5, and I'll confirm that in just a minute. And we're going to bring it down just a little bit and bring it over to the edge a little bit. I'm pretty confident it's 2.5. Let me just confirm. Yep, 2.5. All right, so we got that on there. All right, and then this one, we're going to take a piece of the silver glimmer paper that comes in, I think it's a 3-pack of silver, blue, and what's the other color? I can't think of what the other color is. So we're going to glue this down. So we're going to place that right there, and I'm going to try to make sure I line it up so it all looks like we know what we're doing here, right? Get that back up here on the camera. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining. All right, so we've got that. And then I'm going to lay this down. I'm going to put this on here. We are going to trim off a little bit of her dress, but I want to get them on here. And all I'm going to do is glue this down. We're not going to pop it up or anything. We're just going to lay it down. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get that. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue right here. I don't want to get too much because I don't want it to ooze out. And we'll put some glue on here. I hear my dog outside the door. She wants to come in, but I can't have her come in here because she'll be up on my in my face, and then she'll want to go in and out. So she has to stay outside because she doesn't. She's a piece of work. I'm telling you. If you haven't had a puppy dog in a long time, be prepared if you decide to get one. We have our hands full with this little devil. She's a good dog. She's learning. She's doing much better. She was sick before we went out of town. We took her to the vet on Monday. I almost didn't go because she wasn't eating and she was throwing up and having other issues. But she was fine. So we left her with the dog sitter. I don't know if that lady's going to dog sit for us anymore or not, but we'll see. Okay, so I'm going to trim off this. So let's go ahead and just flip this over. And I'm just going to line up my scissors right next to my cardstock. And we're just going to trim a little bit off. And there is, now look at that. Isn't that a really gorgeous card? And then for those that have just joined, this is what the inside looks like. So I just cut 1/4 inch of that same silver and put that on a piece of basic white. And again, we're using the Secret C cardstock and the ink. But isn't that pretty? And it's a really quick card that you can make. So if you've got to make a lot of Christmas cards, you might want to consider this set. So this is a really nice one. All right. So there's that. So we're going to put that off to the side, and then I'll pull those back in just a few minutes when we are, oh, wait. No, we're not done. Hold on. I forgot my stars. We're using our Whisper White craft ink, and you can tell, look how old this is, the packaging. So I forgot we have to do that. We've got to put our stars up there. All right. So I'm going to lay this flat. And I'm gonna do it this way because this is in the way, and I've got this here. This is a piece of vellum so that y'all don't see the glare of my lights. All right, so I've got the ink on here. Now this is the pigment ink. So when we stamp this down, we've got to be careful, and then we're gonna have to let it dry for just a few minutes. So I'm gonna try to squeeze this in so that it is right above his head. And I probably should have brought it down a little bit more. I could have brought it down more. I should have put the stamp first, but all right, we're going to go with this. So we're going to push that down, and I'm just going to hold it for a few minutes. I want to make sure this ink transfers because it is kind of thick. So I'm just going to let it sit for a minute, make sure it all comes out. I almost forgot the most important part. I haven't used the white craft ink in quite some time. I hear clicking outside the door. There we go. Not too bad. All right. So there's our star. So that's that. And all right. So let me clean. Give me 1 second while that's drying. And then let me clean off ink off these stamps here. And I'll move that. And then we'll start our second card. All right. Let's move this. Let me put some of this out of the way. You know, again, I don't have as much workspace as I'm used to, but that's okay. All right. And we're going to come back and, okay, I think we're good. All right. So there is our card. That looks much better now that we have our star, doesn't it? So I just thought that was just a really cute, very quick and easy card that you can make. So you really could do some mass producing these if you needed to. All right, so we're going to lay that right there. Now let me show you the next one we're going to do. We're going to do a different take. Now this one's in peacock, good Lord, pecan pie. And this is scored at, it's 4 by 11, 4 1/4 by 11, and it's scored at 5.5. And this is one of those, and I didn't bring the paper name in here. I am terrible about that. It's one of the papers that strictly got, it looks like it's woven, and there looks like straw that's been, you know, like weaved and stuff. So it's this, to me, it gives it more of a masculine effect. So this is pecan pie. Very vanilla is what we're using. And then I'm using pecan pie ink, okay, with some embellishments as well. Now those are retired. And then we're going to color our string because we don't have any pecan pie twine. So I'll show you how I got that done. And then again, we carried over that paper to the inside of the card. So that kind of, it just adds another little accent to the inside. But isn't that pretty? Let me get down here. And it's so easy because it's just all we're doing is stamping. We're not doing any coloring. Now, if you want to color, by all means, you can color. I'm not saying you can't do that. Okay. So let me move this over here. I'm going to move those out of the way for now. And let's bring in our supplies. All right. Now I did cut, and I'll tell you what I did here. All right. So we've got we'll let that right there so y'all can see it. Okay, and let me get all my pieces together. Hang on. All right, you know how you got to get all that stuff straight. All right, so we're going to fold. I already got the score line on it. So I'm going to go ahead and fold it and give it a nice burnish with our bone folder. I love cards that are easy and like this that look like you did a lot of work, you know. I mean, it looks like you've spent a lot of time making it. And you really didn't, so it really makes it nice. Pardon me, throwing some stuff in the trash. Okay, so we are going to add, this is cut at 4 by 5 1/4. We're just going to lay this down with our adhesive, and you can use either side. I like this side better. This is the back side of this paper, so if you recognize that, then you'll know the paper pack that it came from, and I apologize that I did not put that, write that down. I probably should do better at that. All right, so there we go. Put that right there. And then we're going to, what I did was I took the second largest deckled, rectangle decal dies. I know they were on the online exclusive. If I'm not mistaken, I think they've retired these. For some reason, I'm thinking they have been retired, but I'll have to double check that. So this is what we're going to stamp on. So we're going to stamp our image on that. It looks like it's a lot bigger on that one. All right, so we're going to stamp our image here, and then we'll complete the rest of the card. So I'm going to bring in pecan pie, and we're going to stamp the image just like we did on the other card. So let me grab my, let's see, we don't want the piece. Hang on a minute, bear with me. We want this one, and then we're going to do a sentiment for this one as well. All right, so we're going to ink this up with our pecan pie. So again, we're going to just bring the ink pad to the stamp rather than stamp to the ink pad. It just makes it a lot easier and to get your ink, this large image, covered. Okay, so I'm going to leave that there. I don't normally leave them open, but we're going to use that in just a minute, so might as well leave it there. All right, this one, I'm just going to center it on here, get it towards the bottom. Hang on, let me get up here where y'all can see me. All right, so we're going to put it up about, I think like that. I think that will be good. We got them towards the bottom and they should be somewhat centered. So we're going to go ahead and push that down. Make sure all of our ink transfers. And again, these are such clean, simple images, right? All right, so there's that. Put that over here out of the way. And then we're going to come in. I'm going to do all the stamping first before we adhere the rest of the stuff. Now we're going to add some more of the stars. And we're going to go ahead and ink this up. Again, we're using the pecan pie. And I'm going to put one right in, I should have probably brought them down a little bit more because I got my stars in the way now. Let's see, we're going to do one here because I know this one's going to fit. But that one's going to be covered up. And I've got, let's see. We might have to do, let me see, I may end up having this over. Let me see if I can get this in here. Bear with me one second. I'm trying to look without getting my head in the screen. I think I'm going to put it right there. I think that'd be fine. Kind of in the background. All right, so we're going to do that. And then our sentiment, I also use the smallest deckled rectangle. And that's what we're going to stamp our sentiment on, which is for unto us a child is born. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to stamp that on here. Now I'm going to stamp it to the right because we're going to wrap some twine on the left-hand side. And we're going to stamp it just like that. Okay. It's a little crooked, but you know what? That's fine. I don't worry about stuff like that. It's handmade. I could flip it over, but I like the deckled look on that side. All right, so there's that. And, you know, it is what it is. It's a handmade card, right? All right, so this one, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to lay this down. We're going to lay it flat. We're not going to pop it up. Now, you could pop it up if you want to. I'm just going to glue it down flat. We're going to pop up the sentiment. All right, so we're going to center this on the card. And I think that probably looks good right about there. All right. Okay, and then this one, we're not going to do anything with that yet. We're going to leave that right here. Now we're going to come in and let's go ahead and put our inside piece in, and then we'll do our other thing. All right, so again, when I cut the paper off, we had an 1.5 inches. So I cut these in half. So this is 3/4 of an inch, and this piece is cut at the 4 inches. So that worked out really well. So we're just going to add this to the bottom. This is going to go to the inside of our card. Pardon me. And we're just going to place that right there. Make sure we've got it covered up, everything. And it just is almost to the edges. It's enough that it's not really going to make a difference. Can't see it. All right, so we're going to come in. I will let you know if you want to know the name of that paper, Karen. Let me know. If you just message me, I'll look it up for you. Honestly, I should write that stuff down before I come in here. You would think, all right, so that's going to go on the inside. So again, we're just bringing that paper in, so it kind of brings it, you know, full circle, if you will. All right, so there's the card. Now we're going to, first thing we need to do is we need to color our twine. Now this is a vanilla twine, and I've just got a backing from one of the one of the kits. I mean, just, we're going to color on here. I'm going to snip probably this much. And then we're going to take the Pecan Dark blend, and I'm going to use the fat tip. And we're just gonna run it along this until we get all sides colored. So this is how, if you need a color and you don't have a color that you want to mix with your, whoops, let me get up here. Sorry about that. I'm so used to having a camera that sits in a different position. My apologies. So just take it, and I'm just going right down the edge and then just rolling it to get to the next side. And just do this until you get it all colored, and then just roll it around, and then you get the ink on all sides. You might get a little bit on your hands, but whatever. That's part of crafting, isn't it? All right, so let's get all this done here. And once you get it going, it would help if I straightened it out. you can just do it in one swoop. But this is a great way that if we don't have the color that you're looking for, you can just make your own color, right? And that part I'm not going to be too concerned about because we're going to probably cut that off and you're not going to see it. But see, I want to go through and highlight the areas that I might have missed. We're going to come back in. And I might not use all of this, but I want to make sure I've got enough colored in case I want to wrap it. Because I do know I want to wrap it several times. All right, so we're just going to keep coloring and flip it over. So it's pretty easy to do. So there's a way that if you don't have a color that you want, you just make your own. All right. And then sometimes once it flattens out, then you can just pull the thread. All right. So there's how we're going to get our color. We'll let that sit for just a minute because it's still a little wet. We might get a little bit on our fingers. We want to make sure we just don't get it on the card. All right. So now we're going to take this guy and we're going to wrap. I'm going to take some seal, and I'm going to put just a little bit of seal on the left side because that's where I want my ribbon to, the thread to go, the twine. I'm just going to make a little strip, and that's what I'm just going to wrap it. We're not going to tie it. I'm not just going to wrap it around. So I'm just going to get it to stick on there, and then I'll start wrapping it around. And I'm just going to wrap it, I don't know, whatever I can do with however much thread I have. And I'm going to push it a little bit closer together. And I think that will work. We're going to leave it like that. Let's do it like that. I'll just cut that off because it's still a little wet. And let's see. Let's cut that. And then I'm going to come back. Hang on, I don't want that little piece sticking out. We'll pop it up there. All right, so they're on there. So there you go. There's how you can make your twine to coordinate with your card. So we're going to put some dimensionals on the back of this. So let's bring in, I'm going to put, I think we can get by with 2. Maybe, do I want one? Let me see. Let's put a little baby one. Let's put a mini dimensional on, let's put a little one right next to the string on this side, just to hold it just in case of, right? Okay, so we're going to do that. And then we're going to put this. Now, this one we're going to probably cover up. And I did that. I know you're going to like, well, Dawn, why did you do that? Well, only because you can see some of the stars, okay? So we're going to do that. We're going to bring it right to the edge of the paper. Actually, I might bring it over just a little bit so we can see this star here, and pull the backings off, and we'll go ahead and get this down. And then I've got some retired embellishments. You know, you never get rid of your embellishments, do you? I don't. I've got a drawer full of these things. All right, and I'm going to place that. I'm going to let some of those stars show, and I'm going to lay that right there. And then I'm going to come in with these dark ones, and these are, I don't even know, these are neutral adhesives, and I can't tell you how, I've had these things for a long time. I'm not even sure where they came from or when they were available. All right, so I'm going to place a larger one right in the center of that, and I thought that looks pretty good about matching. And then I've got one small one, so I think I'll put a small one up here, and then I'll put another larger one down. We'll put one right, let's do it right about there. How's that? All right, and then that is our embellishments. So there we go. There are the 2 cards. Well, that was fast, wasn't it? And let me pull the other ones out so that you can see. All right, so here's the 2 cards that we made. Aren't those pretty? Aren't those gorgeous? I just love this. It's such an easy stamp. Now, I have seen some really beautiful cards that have been colored. Pinterest is your friend if you have not gone there and looked. But there's a lot of people that do some awesome blending in the colors they've chosen, and the shadowing that they've done is just incredible. I don't have the ability to do that. I mean, I can color, but I'm not that. These look like really professional. So anyways, all right, everyone. This is the 2 cards that we made this evening, one using Secret Sea, Peace on Earth from the Peace on Earth stamp set. And then the inside, we've just carried that silver over. And then this one a child is born, and we're doing pecan pie, and same thing. We've just carried the designer paper over and used pecan, actually vanilla twine that we've colored with the pecan dark Stampin' Blend. So there you go, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed these 2 cards. Is that glitter paper on the bottom left card? Yes, this is part of, it's a 3, I think it's 3 packs. There's the silver, there's a blue, and I can't remember the third color. The dark is like the not quite secret sea, but it's a bluish, it's got more of a blue tint. And then there's another color, and honestly, I can't think of it. I believe it's part of this suite. So if you look up the, you can either pull up Google, go into Stampin' Up site and pull up Peace on Earth suite. I think it's in there, or just type in glitter paper and I think it would come up. And if you need it, let me know. It's in the other room and I can tell you. I should have wrote it down. Okay. Thank you so much for joining me. I greatly appreciate it. Yeah. And if you need the paper, the name of this paper, let me know that too. I should memorize. I need to start writing this stuff down because that's not fair to you guys to have to think about it. I should be giving that information to you. So, all right, everybody. Thank you again. Don't forget you got 3 days left in the month to take advantage of our Join special. I would highly encourage you to do it. $35, you get to choose $125 in product. Pretty good deal. And if you're not working with a demonstrator, I'd love to have you work with me. All right, so it's a short Tuesday. Thank you so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. And I will see you back. It's the end of the month, so I'll see you back next Tuesday, 7 p.m., same place, same time. All right, everyone. Thanks again. Talk to you soon. Bye now.